Hello, good morning. Yes, so we are going to be talking about the art of King Charles. So, of course, over this past weekend, he had his coronation, but today we're going to be celebrating him as an artist. King Charles started painting in the 1970s, working exclusively in watercolor, and his paintings were first exhibited at Windsor Castle in 1977. Many of his earlier works showed family homes, as we will look at. And it's said that he's painted over 680 pieces over the last 50 years, and he never sells the original copies, only lithographs or prints. But yet he's still considered one of the UK's most successful living artists. Though he modestly refers to himself as an enthusiastic amateur, he made an estimated £2 million from the sales of copies of his watercolors from 1997 to 2016, making him one of the country's best-selling living artists. The King's paintings have been displayed in multiple exhibitions and at charity events. King Charles has painted watercolors all over the world. He's an avid skier and has been frequenting Klosters, Switzerland for over 45 years, actually narrowly escaping an avalanche there in 1988. As we can see here, the ski destination even featured his artwork on their 1997 annual ski passes. The title of the work, Tinsenhorn, is actually the name of the tallest peak sticking out right here, just below the words. King Charles said that he prefers watercolors because they're quicker to finish, so he does not have to keep his security detail waiting too long while he's painting en plein air. His Majesty has painted many watercolors of his favorite views of Scotland, including a front view of Balmoral in 1991. Set amongst the magnificent scenery of the Scottish Highlands, Balmoral has been a private home of the royal family since it was built for Queen Victoria and Prince Albert in 1856. The King, who has donated all profits from his artwork to the Prince of Wales Charitable Fund, prefers to paint outdoor scenes, favoring mountains, streams, and the surrounding areas of the estate at Balmoral. Queen Elizabeth spent her summer holidays at Balmoral, and it was believed to be her favorite residence. And I love this piece specifically because it only shows a sliver of the castle itself and features the surrounding hills and the forest as the focal point. Here's a limited edition lithograph created from one of the King's watercolor paintings, showing a view of Beanabord, part of the Cairngorm Mountains in Scotland. His Majesty has painted several views of Beanabord, one of many watercolors of his favorite views of Scotland. And this one was painted in April before the snow on the high ground had melted. Beanabord is the 11th highest mountain in Britain, a vast high plateau in the eastern Cairngorms. Here's a newer special edition lithograph, created showing a view of the monastery building at Vatopaidi, Mount Athos in Greece, originally created in 2000. Mount Athos, Greece, is a mountain in the distal part of the Athos Peninsula and the site of an important center of Eastern Orthodox monasticism in northeastern Greece. The handsome 200-year-old cedar of Lebanon was one of the reasons that the King was so interested in Highgrove as his country residence. The almost 60-foot tree dominated the garden and imparted a friendly atmosphere to the house with its huge, dark emerald green foliage, while its reaching limbs provided shade for the terrace. But sadly, the tree began to decay, and with a heavy heart, the decision was taken to cut it down. But it was too large to be removed completely, so the King decided to raise a building over the stump of the cedar to celebrate its life. Mark Hoare was commissioned as the designer, and the Tetbury church spire was used as its inspiration. One of the lower branches was retained, and a hole was left in the roof of this building for a self-sown oak sapling to grow through and provide a living ceiling for the structure. This is one of the King's favorite views in Scotland. He painted Altnaguibesh Lodge in 2016. This house, named after the stream which tumbles down the slopes of the mountain Lochnagar to join Glenmick, stands on a small hill overlooking the northern end of Loch Mick. The original cottage on the site was enlarged by Queen Victoria and Prince Albert to accommodate themselves and the smallest possible household as a retreat and base for mountain expeditions in the area. They first stayed there in August 1849 and used it for brief stays until 1861, but happy memories of those times were too poignant for the Queen ever to stay there overnight after the prince's death. King Charles painted a number of royal residences, as we've seen. The Castle of May is the most northerly castle in mainland Scotland and was built by George IV, Earl of Caithness, in the 16th century. It was purchased by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, in 1952, who arranged the restoration of the castle and its gardens and parklands. In 1996, the Queen Mother transferred the castle, estate, and nearby farm to a trust that she had formed. King Charles was particularly close with his grandmother, as one can assume they spent a great deal of time together, and so it was transferred to him. Buckingham Palace Royal Collection Shop features royal gifts inspired by the palace as the official London residence of the UK's sovereign since 1837, and also the administrative headquarters of monarchs today. The official collection celebrating the coronation of their Majesties King Charles III and Queen Camilla on May 6th is crafted from the finest English bone china and finished in 22-karat gold. Each piece of fine bone china is handcrafted by skilled artisans in the renowned English potteries in Stoke-on-Trent, England. The royal coat of arms has been specially painted for the occasion and is supported by a garland of laurel leaves representing peace. Oak leaves for strength join the national emblems of the 4 nations of the United Kingdom: thistle, rose, shamrock, and daffodil, within an intertwined ribbon that represents the supportive partnership between the king and queen. The china collection includes a commemorative teacup and saucer, pillbox, tankard, plate, and coffee mug. Other highlights of the souvenir selection celebrating this historic occasion are limited edition glassware and an official commemorative tea towel. There's also the Westminster Abbey shop, which also has collectibles being sold to commemorate the coronation. On the left, each cut crystal glass of this whiskey set is hand cut and engraved with a design incorporating the royal cipher. On the right is a collector's set of miniature crowns and regalia that's hand cast in the UK by craftsmen and set with Swarovski elements. This set contains 12 of the main pieces used in the coronation of a British monarch: St. Edward's crown, the imperial state crown, the sovereign's scepter with the cross, the sovereign's orb, the Commonwealth bracelets, the coronation ring, the ampulla and anointing spoon, the George IV diadem, the scepter with the dove, the jeweled sword, and the sword of state. So you can get a whole miniature set of all 12 of those. And Westminster Abbey has been the destination of the coronation since 1066 and has witnessed 38 coronations, with the first being that of William the Conqueror. For anyone interested, everything highlighted today is actually for sale as part of a promotional for the coronation, except for the ski pass at the beginning. And I looked on the Highgrove website, and some of the lithographs of his pieces can range between £2,000 to £5,000. But in any case, I hope you enjoyed looking through some of his works over the course of the king's life. Thank you.